Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talk of That Talk official podcast where we have comfortable and uncomfortable conversations. I am your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, world? Welcome back to your favorite podcast, your favorite show. I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X. As always, we appreciate you for tapping in. We appreciate you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and continue to support us while we give you this content. So, um, tonight's topic: Tom Brady's divorce situation. Right? We're gonna use this as a catalyst, right, to bring up a bigger conversation, which would simply be: you have a man, his purpose, and family. What is the balance? How do these things balance out? What is the ranking system? Is it a set standard that works for majority of men? You know what I'm saying? We're going to make this based on our individual perceptions. We're going to speak like for a collective state of mind as well. Different things that people implement with this conversation within society. We're just going, you know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it authentic. Does a man necessarily always have to choose between his purpose and his family? You know what I'm saying? Can they both coexist? Right. Uh, but before we go into that, got to say rest in peace. Takeoff. Tragedy happened in Houston. Uh, young brother was killed. Famous rapper was killed in a very unfortunate situation. So most definitely, you know what I'm saying? The whole world is in shock or in some state of grief at what transpired and took place. So, getting back to the show, got Tom Brady, the GOAT of football, the GOAT of all GOATs, best quarterback to ever do it, uh, multiple Super Bowls. Uh, guy's just phenomenal, right? So, I don't know the specifics of the divorce. People are quote unquote saying that uh, maybe it has something to do with the football career and his longevity, to where his wife even offered him one last ultimatum. She was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you one last shot to pick your family. Either it's family or football." We see Brady still throwing the ball. You know what I mean? So they're going through a divorce situation. I even read prior that she released a statement saying that ever since they moved to Florida and things of that nature, he began to change, right? Began to make her feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? You got a guy that was in Belichick's system for his entire career, probably never made more than like $12 million consistently, right? Because he was taking pay cuts so they could build up a team. Now he in Tampa, $50 million contract, won a Super Bowl with an entirely different team. Now he got control in the offense. So if it was about the longevity of his career and they had a plan, everything just got 10 times better. You know what I mean? He's in a better situation. So maybe that, you know what I'm saying, is the problem on the table. But just gonna have a, you know what I'm saying, a good conversation about it. How do you feel about a man and balancing out the equation between his purpose and his family?
Oh man, I was literally gonna jump on that subject. I was like, that man was focused on trying to get things on a level that he always perceived himself and would become or would be. A lot of people don't come into the situation I know are like, hey, some men are like upfront with a lot of things, right? Some men will tell you straight up, hey, look, my purpose is first, you're gonna be second. And we can always look at those scenarios as like some people hear it and don't believe it until it actually comes into play, right? Some men are wired to work until they just can't work, right? We literally just seen what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady retired what for the summer, came back like
Right.
I ain't fucking leaving. He came back, let him know like, hey, I'm ready to go back to work, right?
Mm.
Then we also can look at the situation where there's a lot of men that leave the workforce the same way. Whether they're corporate, whether they leave for a month or two, they're like, yeah, I gotta go to work, man. This is not for me. We don't look at like how sometimes how men are wired to actually work, actually produce something on a basis that keep them alive. Some people feel like they die slow if they're not working. So even if it's playing a sport, the next move, what they usually do after playing sports, they go to commentary. They start doing Michael Strahan. You got people that go into other different avenues because they want to keep working. Deion Sanders, what do you do? He's now coaching for a college team. You know what I'm saying? We got to look at all these things that come into play that some of these men are wired to work. They're wired to perform. They're wired to make sure they can get shit done. That's what they feel like their purpose is to perform. Now, during that situation, as I'm looking at Tom Brady's things, when you brought up like he was acting a different dude, it was talking about she was also saying like he's walking to the grocery store with his shirt off and like I was like, why does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like you. I don't think people understand like. Sometimes when people are governed by the system, when they're finally released, they finally get to act how they want to be. I watched a family member of mine like go through a big change, right? I'm used to hearing this person so much dressed in a certain way, being the youngest manager in this region. He came to Texas, he came to Houston, and he was just like dressing different. I was like, bro, this is not what I heard about you. Like, bro, I'll be honest, bro, I hate that stuff, bro. He said, do I play the game? I play the game, bro, but I finally get to let loose. I'm in a city and state where I'm not known. I want to be who I want to be. You know what I'm saying? And Brady was probably going through that scenario. He probably was like, bro, I'm not under the Patriots wing. I don't have to look a one way. I don't have to keep it small. I'm going to finally be free and do what I want to do. Now, as far as family situation that goes on into the picture, we can always look at it like, yo, man, he chose football with his family. But I'm pretty sure what we're still not paying attention to is the fact, like, this man was probably upfront about what he's going to do. We talked about it. What Kevin Samuels said, look, you want to get one of these high value men, these high performing men, they're going to let you know their purpose is first. You will most likely come second to what they're doing. And if you're fine with that, we can proceed forward. Now, that'll be long. That's long with it right there. I'll just leave it at that, man. I think I explained a good thing right there.
All right. So we hear this rhetoric that a man's purpose comes first.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree. What the problem seems to be to me is most men really don't know what their purpose is.
Mm.
If you're confusing ambition and goals with purpose, that's not the same thing.
Okay.
Right. Your purpose pretty much is like what you're here for, what you're born to do. Like that's going to be like when you put Kevin Samuels in front of a camera, you can tell like, okay, this guy was here for this particular reason. I don't think anybody can just get on the camera and be as fluent and just have that attraction and that charisma if that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Right. So a lot of men confuse ambition and success with purpose. Not saying that it has nothing to do with it, but that's not your quote unquote purpose. That's pretty much saying that every man is born to be wealthy. And we know that's not going to happen. So if success is the standard that we're attaching to purpose, then I think we got it wrong. If a man just say, hey, I'm working 12 hours a day and that's aligned with my purpose, how? You're making money, that's cool. But besides making money, how does that align with your purpose? Like, what are you going to do with this money? And how is it going to get you closer to your purpose? But if you're thinking your purpose is just to be a workaholic just because you're a man, once again, I think we got something wrong. And be it so that your purpose does require maximum effort, multiple hours, right? You still have to balance between personal life, family, and work. So if you're constantly overwhelming yourself as a man and you're drowning yourself in the thought that this is my purpose, what results are you getting from that? Besides, like I say, more money. So these are things we have to look at. So not every man will find his purpose. Not every man even believes he has a purpose other than to work until he dies. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what society told us the man is supposed to do. Work until he dies, right? And a lot of times what happens is if you do work until you die, a lot of us don't even know how to die. We don't have things aligned as to when we do go, what's going to be taken care of after that? What accounts do we have in place to secure that the people behind us are going to be taken care of? So if we're gonna tell ourselves this bullshit, hey, work until we die, are we at least preparing for death? I'm just saying, make it all make sense. So we have to find our purpose individually as men, and I think that's what causes a lot of problems in relationships. Is men really don't know what the fuck they're doing within themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't really have a true identity, and they're burying that in work. So I'm being productive. That's not always the case. We see it a lot of times where people can work a job for 10 years, work 12 hours a day, and stay in the middle class. Somebody can not even work a job, really know their purpose, put that 12 hours into their purpose, and become a millionaire in less than 10 years. So don't confuse drowning yourself in work with your purpose, because it's not always the same thing. So
Oh,
that's my.
cool. I mean, I was gonna just add on to that. I mean, some people are looking at it on the basis of a biological purpose, which is the wiring of men to, provide, protect, and serve. So some people get stuck on the purpose of, on a biological standpoint. So that's when you say like, hey, look, you don't know what to do outside. You don't know your purpose because people are wired on a biological standpoint of believing, yo, this is it. On a biological, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm gonna do. Instead of looking at, okay, what's my purpose individually as to what I'm gonna put forth while I'm here. And that's like you said, those are two different things. But some people get so wired into the biological standpoint, they don't have the identity for themselves, right? That's when we hear people who be like, man, I woke up, next thing you know, I'm 50 years old. I realized I don't even have friends like that. You chose all your life to stick to the biological needs and wants and what a man should be doing. And that can always be a short life at the same time, right? A man needs to live abroad. That's something that some people will say. How he gains his experience, how he's able to maneuver, how he's able to become. That's some things people are able to do, and some people are not able to do. When you define your purpose, you need to define what it is that you want to bring into the world, the reality. What's the outcome? What's the end goals? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, ambition is one thing, but the overall picture is something else. I make sure my end goals with anything I do, I have the end goal in mind, right? That's what my purpose is. Okay, we get this done. The purpose of this is to achieve this. Okay, we get this in. The purpose of this is to achieve this. Okay, we got kids. The purpose of it, like you still create. You can have. That's another thing. It's not always one purpose. You can have multiple purposes. They only tell you like, hey, what's your purpose to focus on one thing, but at the same time, having multiple purposes can also put you in a place to become that ultimate thing that then you can define like, okay, I know what I'm set here for. Right? One of my favorite authors, John C. Maxwell. He always talks about how man is defined as a leader, leadership roles, uh, five level leaderships. He's talking about the 12 disciplines, and he just really talks about if you put yourself on ambition and purpose level and goal oriented, you can then start putting piecing yourself together on who it is you will become. That's all I got right there.
Okay. All right. And like I said, not to shoot down the whole working man, and maybe that man feel like that's his purpose is just to work and provide.
Hmm.
At that point, my challenge is, okay, how is that working for you? What are you providing? You know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, hey, my purpose is to work and provide, and not even doing that at your optimal level. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes we just use things as a scapegoat to get away from the other part of the conversation, which is family.
Yeah.
That's the scapegoat. You know what I mean? Like a lot of men, that's like, my purpose is to work. I work so many hours a day. Bet. What you do on Sunday? Sun up to sundown, you watching football. You know what I'm saying? Like, if our purpose is to work and provide, that's fine. Not saying we don't get any personal time, but that's how a lot of men structure their time within their family. Hey, I go to work, so when I come home, I ain't paying nobody no attention. You know what I mean? So that we gotta keep that in mind. And to kind of God advocate that is we tell women all the time, don't be so uh, overwhelmed with work and getting a degree that you forget that you're still supposed to be a mother, you're still supposed to be a wife. So why does that same logic not work for men? So biologically, like if we're talking about a man being a provider and a protector, if we're going back historically, yeah, you have to go get the food. You had to protect the village, right? We're past those days, we can say. You got to protect your household, but we ain't got to go out there and kill for the food and bring it back no more and hunt and go take over this land so that we can expand our empire. And we ain't got to do that shit no more. So I think that within that type of logic, that the family roles, the structuring has to be restructured to what works for you. You know what I mean? So not every man is going to be in that position to be that 100% provider. Not every man is going to fit into that category. So that's the need for family right now, right? So within that family dynamic, you have multiple people working towards the same objective. So family is the most important thing we have because that's the main building block to society. So within making that function, it's gonna cause time to be taken away from work. It's gonna cause for time. Kids need time. Everybody needs time.
Mm.
Just recently, I had a reading done, and I was questioned on why am I not making certain things happen. And the first thing that came to my mind was time, and I was told, no, that's incorrect. It's your mind. See, we can lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that time is our biggest problem when time is really not the issue because mentally you have time, self-perception, you have all these different things that you can kind of control how you conceptualize time. So time is not really the issue, it's us. It's something within you. It's your self-doubt. It's your inability to be able to produce and create certain things. Those are the problems that a lot of men run into. But we bury it and we code it up and cover it up with time. So a lot of us, if we still had time to work 10, 12 hours a day, and we had like shit, 28 hours in a day or 29 hours in a day, a lot of us still wouldn't be any more productive than what we are right now. So that's my thing on that. Don't cover up your inability to produce a family or withstand a family behind just I'm so busy, I'm working. So,
Okay. Not sure if you asked the question or something like that. I thought you
no, you
just.
can take it where you want to take it.
I mean, shoot. The only thing I could say about that, wait, you had made the statement talking about, hey, look, you tell women, the statement about women, you was like, hey, look, you can produce, get your degree when you can still come back and be a mother, and you saying like, why are like fathers doing that? I forgot how you explained that.
Well, now, like if women get so preoccupied in getting a degree or working, society would tell them, hey, you still got to be a mother, you still got to be somebody's wife. You know what I'm saying? That should be your main goal. But with men, that type of energy isn't pushed. It's like the onus of you is not to be somebody's father, to be somebody's husband. A lot of men just be like, all right, bet if I'm working, I'm good. I ain't got to tap into, you know what I'm saying, being a active father. I ain't got to tap into being a husband because I'm covering that all up with work. And then you have, like I'm saying, you have people like Kobe, you have athletes that are married, have families, right? Still are able to keep their families. They don't just lose it all because they so busy on the road, they so busy working. So that's pretty much what I'm tapping into. Women are pushed more so get into that family structure. And a lot of times men just had a freedom to take their time to get into the family structure.
Well, I would also say timing is an issue. You have people that are also telling men, look, there's nothing wrong with you having family later on in life, and then you have the message that's being told to women on a biological standpoint, like, hey, you might want to have a family early on. Like one of the things that I was talking about, geriatric pregnancy, or like, hey, nobody's gonna want you when you're older. Like it's a different type of information that's taught to women and men that I would say is still different at the same time. Um, I don't like I said the general basis of men not being told to make families. I would still kind of argue against that at the same time because I still see that being done. Like, hey, you're doing all this, but what are you doing it for? These are things that always get questioned. So until somebody starts asking you the right question, like, what are you doing this for? What are you doing this for? And if it's just always themselves, it's kind of then finally done. Like, well, why is it just for myself? Because same people like men get married, some women get married, some men get married. that still falls within the same category of how you looking at it. Are you looking at things on a selfish standpoint, or are you looking on the things of on a giving standpoint? My life purpose right now, I'll tell you right now, my life purpose is I don't do nothing for me. I do everything for the possibility of what can happen if I just achieve these small things, right? Even producing with children, like yo, what can happen with me as a father, and I'm doing certain things that are set into place in the stone. I don't think about myself, building myself as a better man. I like reading, studying, socializing with people I might not even want to socialize with, learn information I don't care to learn. They all connect with me as an individual to be able to like maneuver. I want to make myself a well-rounded person. So to be able to know I can walk into any situation, category, uh, whatever you want to call it, and be able to talk the language or at least get a conversation started. So how you build you is how you're gonna overall live your purpose. If you build you to be one track minded, then that's why a lot of people are one track minded. We talked about the EQ versus the IQ. Some people are so one track minded to intelligence and learning and statistics and data, they suck at actually having a social life. Nobody wants to be around them. They're socially awkward. They're assholes, whatever you want to call it. So it's all about what is the end for you. Like I said, for myself, I want friends from all over. I hit a city, I hit a state. I can get greeted by people I done met online or relationships I had already built. People reach out to me like, yo, you want to do business? Hey, let's do coffee. I pour it into these individuals. They pour into me. People tell me like, hey, your podcast has done something for me. Every time we like, man, this stuff ain't going nowhere. Somebody texts us, or we'll get a funny text message after the show, like, yeah, man, I really need like what you doing stuff on a basis because it could be fun for you. Then you start learning that sometimes it's purposeful. We said the thing with Kevin Gates. Kevin Gates said, man, I was about to off myself till somebody said something. All right, let me keep going because it gave this man some purpose. So maybe it'll start giving me some more purpose if I at least stay focused to it. You just gotta keep going through the bullshit. That's one of the main things that we don't teach men and women. Like you got to go through the bullshit, right? Some people redefine themselves through their pains, through their past actions. I mean, shit, it's a beautiful thing if you just keep going because then you'll find who you are. Man,
Okay.
all right.
Okay. I'll take it here. Going back to the point of family, right?
Hmm?
When Ye did his Drink Champs interview, and he kept mentioning like Jewish people and how they're so successful. Let's 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 break it down. That particular culture is successful because of family structure, group economics,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have a bunch of single men and single women within a lot of cultures that's just trying to make it happen. You don't have so many people that's so busy trying to make sure they check off everything off their bucket list, become super ambitious and wealthy just before they produce a family. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, depending on how we're told to be productive, we could be working backwards instead of moving forward.
I agree.
So the biggest time that our culture was progressive probably was like around the 20s,
Yeah,
right? And what
probably.
happened is you had a family structure. Other than just black people owning things and having money, you had communities, and the building block to communities is families, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we just got a bunch of men all trying to become a millionaire, all trying to work, 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 and not focusing on that family aspect, we're gonna lose. You can't employ group economics as an individual. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if we look at inheritance, you know what I'm saying? We always talk about generational wealth, bridging the wealth gap. Well, what point is it to become wealthy and talk about generational wealth if you don't have a family within that structure? Where is it gonna go? You know what I mean? Like these types of ideas, like I'm cool with, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of men probably feeling like they don't fit into the family structure. That's cool. To me, that kind of tell me that something wrong with that man in his head. Something's wrong on the inside because I think that that's part of majority of men's purpose. If we could say women are supposed to be wives, women give birth to ideas, children, their nurturers, and all these things. Us as men, we got to get back to our nature as being productive in a family and producing a family. You know what I mean? So we can have blockages that can stop us from being successful at that, right? So I don't know how in tune a lot of men are with their psyche, their mental health, uh, whatever type of work they need to do to correct that person on the inside. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a hurt little boy all your life, going around trashing women and disrespecting relationships, and you know what I'm saying, just being single 100% of the time and thinking that failed relationships are always the woman's fault. Like, we can't move, we can't progress like that. So the importance of family is that. And then we have that feminine energy, which would be the nurture, right? A lot of men aren't self-nurturing. There's a lot of men out there that can get it out the mud, nurture their own ideas, and become self-made millionaires. That's 5% of men. I think that stands the reason that all the rest of us need a fucking woman. You need some type of help with the nurturing process, because clearly 9 times out of 10 we're not going to be self-nurturing. And I don't mean like coddle ourselves, but actually have the energy that it takes to produce the results that we want out of life, to live out these ambitions and goals and get the shit that we're working for, and to actually live out that purpose. That's the part of the story that's not always told, that a lot of men don't even really get to reach their purpose until they come across their woman. We don't talk about that. We discredit that part of history. We discredit that part of the relationship and the family structure. So that's all I would say. Like, even if your purpose comes first, find a woman that is aligned with your purpose. Not every man is going to get to his purpose and then get his woman after. That shit ain't going to happen. So go
So
ahead
what is
on.
the self-nurturing part? I was kind of confused on that.
Self nurturing. Okay, let's say um,
I'm pretty sure people are gonna want to you to explain that, so that's why I said it. I'm sorry.
going into that, let's say self nurturing, right? Let's say I got this podcast right now.
Okay.
Um, I may have the key components. I might have the swag. I might have the charisma. I might have the certain things that can get me closer to that, but I may not be able to do um, all of the mental work behind it. I may lack things within myself. My ego may not be as high as it should be. It may be some things I need help with behind the scenes that, you know what I'm saying, maybe that counterpart can help with. So what I mean by self-nurturing is that being ambitious and knowing your goals as a man don't mean that you can get to those things yourself. And it don't mean that you can always get to those things with your network of people and other men. Some men actually need a woman to help them nurture those ideas because they don't self-nurture enough. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where the feminine energy comes into play, right? If we talk about culture, within our culture, historically, the woman is the nurturer. She is the womb. She brings things into the physical existence. So if you X her out the equation, it's like you kind of working against yourself. Like, you know what I mean? So that's like the alchemy in real life. That's how we bring things into existence. So you have a lot of men and a lot of women just working so hard as individuals, and it's like you really could get further if you came together as a collective, which would be family. So that's what I mean by self-nurturing. Do you get it more so now?
Yeah, I get it more so now. Basically, be like, hey, if a woman's on her own, like, hey, you wouldn't have to do man stuff if you had a man, and you can have the feminine energy as a man if you have the woman. So yeah, that's cool. I think you should use a different word. That's just my that's just me on that. I think you should use a different word, but yeah, I understand what you're saying at the same time. I done met women that who heard that man's idea, man never put it in play. She went and did all the work behind it and then gave it to him like, hey, look, everything's in place, let's go ahead and get this started. And now it's on him to make the move. She had already did everything, the paperwork, the background work. She let you know she's on board. We can get this started. We can get this moving.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just up to you to put your foot down at the same time. And I also seen situations where a woman was in a hectic position, right? Man might have came around, didn't ask for nothing. She come home, there's stuff in there that she didn't have. There's groceries in there. I done heard women cry about having men that they finally step in a position to help them out when they've been doing everything on their own because they was told to do everything on their own. So I can definitely see both sides of that at the same time. Now, if we're gonna get to the family scenario, then we also have to talk about. All right, so we're gonna talk about family. Would you also include marriage in it, or you just believe in like, hey, look, you still have a family without having the ties to it? because generational wealth still has a name behind it, right? For instance, you have the Rothschild. We always talk about them. Rothschild. You got the J.P. Morgan. That whole family behind it. That branch. Even the power behind your family is everything. J.F. Kennedy's wife ended up getting remarried after he was assassinated, but she kept the name Kennedy. So how important it is to make sure when you talk about building family, you put a name, you put the marriage behind it, or is it just fine with just putting the last name on the kids? I don't know if you ever seen those situations where, like, hey, if the father didn't show up, the woman decided to keep the same maiden name that she had with what she had versus like putting the father down. So let me get your perspectives on that then.
Um, I keep it real with you. I don't want to make it seem like I always thought like this. 30-year-old me, 30-year-old ex is like marriage. You know what I mean? Maybe not 27, 28-year-old ex, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
getting older is like, okay, if I just keep it on the black conversation, it's like, man, I can read all the books in the world. I could do all the things to say I'm a revolutionary, I'm all these things, but it's like if I don't produce a black family, how revolutionary am I? You know what I mean? So it's like this is the problem. You know what I'm saying? Family. So yeah, the marriage part is key. The last name is key. Somebody being able to look up their family tree and not just see a bunch of separation within the tree, being able to say, oh, these people is where I come from. This is the last name. This is the culture that's attached to that last name. There's power in that. So continuously to spread the rhetoric that we can strip our children of those things, I'm not thinking like that no more. So I think marriage is key. Marriage is the fundamental basis to that. Um, but what comes with that is for men and women, your intuitive intelligence has to be high and your emotional intelligence has to be high because you're dealing with another human being. And I think that's a lot of times what we don't take it 100%. So most definitely, marriage is key. I don't really think we can keep doing it the way of just, you know what I'm saying, taking care of our kids and taking care of who we had kids with, and you know what I'm saying, as long as we cool, that kind of thing. Like marriage is key.
Okay.
And that I think we should challenge ourselves to do something different or more. You know what I'm saying? Like if we all could hustle and gang bang and do everything destructive, why can't we challenge ourselves to do the utmost positive things that we have yet to do?
Okay, I'm gonna give you two scenarios real quick. I'm gonna start off with the first one. What about Nick Cannon's situation? Would you still say that's generational, even though he's taking care of the family and everybody's would have a different child by a different by?
What I would say is I can't judge individually how he's moving because he is productive within his own world. When he broke down his relationships, structure, and all
Yeah,
that shit,
I,
he broke it down. So
you
I
got it
can't
down.
knock how he's being productive in his own world. I'm not in his world. I'm in my world. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So in my world, you know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't do the same thing, but he's not doing it so-called irresponsibly. It's a lot of men that do the same thing he do, and they not that responsible. Like you
No,
still don't see
keep
them
them all together. He keep them all.
being cool with all the baby mothers, taking pictures with them, and still providing. Like we don't see that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, if a man just have a lot of kids, hey, somebody gonna get a short end of the stick. You know what I mean? Somebody gonna get a little more. But he is being responsible in his own way, so I can't really critique that.
Perfect, perfect. Then my last part would be to that. So, is monogamous the way we go about it, or can poly work as well?
Um, hey, that's based on the participant. What hey, I can't tell nobody else, you know what I'm saying, what works for them. Just make it work. That's the point I'm at right now. Just make it work.
Just make it
Everybody
work.
can't everybody can't live the same reality. Everybody's not gonna follow the same standard of what family is, what a relationship is. That's up to the people involved. If it works for them, it works. You know what I mean? So
Right. No, because you said like marriage is a key aspect, so that's why I was like, okay, let me give the situation with Nick, and then I give the situation with Rob Polly. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. So talk about like I said, okay. Well, let me get back on the subject. You was talking about
Mhm.
Tom Brady, even though we're critiquing this man on his purpose. Um, Men are walking away from their families even after producing on a high level,
Mhm.
right? So these are men can go out there and be the top percentage. Everybody can want on. Everybody can want to be on, but we can understand women will leave them at the same time with these ultimatums. So is he still not a man if he chooses to grant the woman what she wants, divorce, or should he fight for that situation as long as he can? I feel like we don't talk about that enough. We'll look at some men that try to fight for their family and then have to sign away. While we see some men who are produced at a high level, they're like, okay, you want a divorce? Let's go ahead and sign that off away, right? I didn't see the quickest divorces in my life within the last couple of years with Jeff Bezos and now Tom Brady. Done deals. You have people who file for divorce but won't go through the divorce process for like a year or two. You have the situation with Tia Mowry and her dude. He's still in every interview. He's still, hey, look, man, I'm trying to get, still my wife. I'm still trying to get things. He's basically letting know like he's trying to hold on, but what we say, social media has helped engage her to a point like, oh, choose your peace, choose your. What about people who decide to break the family?
Mhm. All right. Um, Going back to society, when they say a man should work until he die,
Hmm?
and a lot of us believe that bullshit. So let's keep it realistic. Does that only apply to poor people or wealthy or rich? Right? Because if a poor man got to work until he die, he really gonna work until he die.
Hmm?
If a rich man work until he die, now you saying it's not necessary because enough should be enough at some point.
Hmm?
So which one is it? Does it apply to both classes of people? Now, if we go back historically, look, you had a family, but you still had to go out there and defend your land. So you had to go to war, right? So a lot of men died at war. That was their work, going to war. You know what I mean? So we don't live in those days anymore. So that's why I say we always have to restructure what are the rules of engagement? What are the expectations? If
Hmm?
it's men should work until they die, hey, well, shit, he doing the right thing. He's still working. He still can bring in more money to the family. The
Hmm?
generational wealth could be even better than what it is because he's gonna go out there and make more money.
Hmm?
So it just really depends on you and your partner. I think everybody should have a plan. If you say I'm gonna go out here and grind for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, then that's y'all plan. Now,
Hmm?
if you want to edify the plan, then y'all got to sit down and come to that agreement as a collective. And if that don't work, then hey, you might not be able to go past year 5, year 6, year 7. We have legends in sports that was able to walk away healthy, retire healthy. You know what I mean? Dude is 45 years old. Let's just say, hey, he take the wrong hit, and at 45 years old, he instead of walking away on 2 feet in perfect health, hey, you might be in a wheelchair or you know what I'm saying, break some shit you can't fix. That's potentially an argument that the wife can argue. What about your health? What about this? What about that? You could walk away right now on top. A lot of men don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? A lot of men don't know how to walk away from. So that's why I say don't confuse your purpose with your, you know what I'm saying, with I hate to say it, but don't confuse your purpose necessarily with your passion, what you love to do so much. You know what I mean? Because you can still take that same energy, like you were saying earlier, and still be involved with the sport, but not be on the field.
Yeah, that's
Feel me?
true.
So at some point, we have to balance out when have I done enough and when can I now give my family the time that they deserve. But like I say, hey, some warriors was meant to die in battle. You know what I mean? That's just their fucking destiny. So also as women or men, you have to know who you marry. You got to know who you're building a family with. You got to know that person inside out. And maybe these type of situations won't be so surprising to you because you're going to always know that that person is going to always go to that one particular thing. It can be a hobby. It can be a career. It can be a job. It can be a passion. So hopefully that's understood. But at some point, I do believe you do have to focus on your family because if you go right now, or if you're on your deathbed, your career not gonna come visit you. You know what I'm saying? You might have a couple of people that you work with and impact that may come visit you or try to speak life into you, but the most consistent people that's gonna be there or should be there is your family. So I do believe they do get their time as well. So
Oh, that's cool. Like I said, it's always amazing. Like I said, the wire in the brain is everything, right? Like you said, people going down about it. Some people really going down about it. Some people going down work. It don't matter if they're poor or rich. It's the wiring of the brain of how a person feels what keeps them alive. So that's also a thing that's very much accurate within the conversation. Um, I really don't got too much else to say on the subject. Like I said, I just thought it was interesting how everything played out, right? Oh, he was making memes all summer. He retired. They had a little poster up. Fucked up kids. He went back to work. I was
yeah,
just like, damn, man. Now,
yeah,
like, he's going through the divorce stage where now they just dragging the shit out of this dude, right? Just the other day, they were like the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. I was like, yo, I know what's going on, bro. Let's not act like things are not getting to an intervention, no matter how calm they make the situation, right? They even went about it in a mature way where things were settled between the lawyers and an agreement to a point where even the state and county won't even have records of what's going on between the split within the relationship. You won't have no financial. I don't know what's going on now. But then I can also make this statement at the same time. If you think Brady ain't gonna get somebody else, I'm telling you now, he's gonna get somebody else. That's one of the key factors. I will also say into the factor of him, right? You gotta always remember, like they said, the most desirable people will always be desired whether they're in a relationship or not. So while people are feeling Giselle's mind, like, yo, leave him, da 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 da, there's things that's gonna come into play like that's gonna be beneficial for both of them. One of the biggest situations she had going on was a situation with Scottie Pippen and his ex-wife. She going through it bad, boy. She going through it bad. She thought things was gonna be green on the other side. When this divorce happened, everything was already set in motion for her, and everything else to come down the line. The kids is everything, but
yeah.
whew,
My last
I
thing is
won't. Huh? Go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Well,
go
my
ahead.
last thing will be to like the highlight like people like Kobe Bryant, where he
Mhm.
was like, "Yo, I want to thank my wife because she was supportive of me throughout my entire career. She
Right.
allowed me the time to practice and to become better and all these type of things." So those type of men actually go further. The ones that do have the family in place and the woman that is understanding of their purpose. That may even be aligned with their purpose. That gives them the time to still go out and make sure that purpose is taken care of. So those are the kind of men that get that longevity and able to be more successful because home isn't chaotic. You know what I mean? So a lot of women say they provide a home and they're the home and they make the home peaceful. Well, hey, if you're actually doing that, the results will show in that man 9 times out of 10 on how productive he can be or how productive y'all can be as a unit, right? So if that man out there, fucking up because home really ain't peaceful, then that home not really a home, you know what I mean? So
All
I
right.
just got to the people that made it happen, still have relationships and still have family. A lot of times we don't highlight those men in society. We highlight the bachelors that went out there and did it all and became millionaires. Those are the ones we focus on more so, even as men. So that's all I got, man.
I mean, I don't trying to remember a bachelor right now. I might have, but I think even Robert Kiyosaki was married. Sure, a lot of people I look go to was married,
Do you
but
think it's a problem where we got men like say 50 Cent, Rick Ross? Rick Ross even said it, like I never get married. Do you think it's problematic that within our culture we got these like Diddy, we got people like Diddy. Do you think it's a
Floyd just
problem?
came out. Floyd just came out with it right now. He said straight up, "I'm not getting married." He said, "I can do everything I'm doing right now for you without giving myself to you." So some people look at it on the basis like that's the smartest thing because now they have reached that financial status. Like, what's the purpose of it if I'm here? You didn't help me get here. That's another thing. That's why when it comes to my mentors, there's two different operations. One group operates 100% on family. Like, look, Do it. Do what you want to do now, and build with a woman, and do it on the way up. The other mentor will be like, look, man, you got all the time in the world. Just keep building you, focus on you, and don't make dumb mistakes, and get with a woman later. Now, all of them actually did that, but then the relationships didn't happen. Right? 50 Cent, when he was with his first baby mama, what happened? She had a chance to build with him.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
Hey, bro, hey, it still
Yeah,
count, baby. It
that
still
was a
count.
long
It still
time ago,
count.
man.
It still
You gotta
count,
let
bro.
that go, man.
Hey,
You
come
gotta get
on, bro.
over it.
Don't do me, man. Don't do me, man. Don't do me,
That was a long time
man.
ago, man.
Hey, man, come on, man. Don't give me that, bro.
All right, go ahead, keep thinking, bro.
All of them literally had that, bro. They all had that. So after a period of time, even after you became successful, it's like, well, shit. What's the purpose of getting married now?
What could it stand the reason that that just wasn't the time, maybe for you or her, or maybe that just wasn't the perfect time? Like, okay, put it like this: if you have a failed relationship, two or three or whatever the case is, once you constantly work on self, you constantly really attach to your purpose as a man. My question would be, why can't you find that woman? You know what I'm saying? You can't keep telling me what type of woman is the most negative, and by the majority, you got to tell me as a man that's really attached to his purpose, why you can't find that one for you. Like if you truly a king, truly a man, a black guy, whatever we want to call ourselves, why can't you find that counterpart that got that same energy as you? You know what I mean? Apparently, it's some self work that got to be done as well. So I think that it's problematic. I don't see. I ain't gonna shoot myself in the foot on this, but
Nah, go ahead. Put yourself in a goddamn
I
tunnel.
don't see men from other cultures going out their way to say, by majority, saying that I never get married, even though I got millions. I never produce a family. I never do this. They don't have that same energy towards family. You know what I'm saying? We got people like
I'm about to
fucking
say, bro, I got Leonardo DiCaprio. I could go down a whole white list, bro. I can go down a whole white
who
list.
literally said, I would never, like, that's their energy towards it.
Bro, Leonardo don't date women over 25, and that's still been consistent his whole life. In fact, let me get technical with you, bro.
Mhm.
Tom Brady's actually got Giselle from Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
So if anything, Tom really saved that woman from basically getting pushed to the side once she hit that age, or Leonardo didn't want to fuck with her no more. So that was, I'm just saying, like, those are things that are actually still in the play. But uh, as far as people saying it out loud all the time, well, I will have to agree with that at the same time. Unless Jack Ma, he's Chinese. Jack Ma, I don't think
Okay,
he's.
let's do it like this. What other culture of men
You mean
are
publicized, like say it openly? Or are you saying like that?
well, let's do it like this. What other culture of men are praised for trashing their women? Like calling them bitches, bitches ain't shit, hoes is this, hoes is that. It's only one culture that get praised for that. Like it's only one group of men that get praised for not respecting their women. Like what I'm looking at is mental issues. Like there's something wrong if a man, like what most men say is the reason I don't have a family is because I can't afford it. That's what most men say. I ain't got the time, I ain't got the money. If you got the money, then what now is the problem? Now we're going back to past relationships. That's a mental issue because at some point we can get over that. We can heal from that. That means we're not healing. That means that if whatever happened in your past, you're still holding on to it. Like we get on women ass for doing that same shit, for holding on to past relationships and judging on men because of that same shit. We don't have that same energy towards them. So I'm just saying, as a society, I don't see too many other bachelors in these other cultures, and that's just their main push. I don't know about you, but I seen men that was married, I seen men that was in relationships, but our culture of men is taught never trust a woman, bitches ain't shit, these hoes ain't loyal. Like these are the rhetorics that's passed down throughout our culture. So it's gonna be like a little harder for us to grow up and be like, all right, bet. I'm gonna go out there and find me a woman. Like right now, if you really took a woman seriously and did everything 100% accurate, do you not have at least 5 male friends that's gonna clown you for that and speak
No,
negative about it?
no, bro.
You
I
know?
don't keep those type of people around me, bro.
But
And
you
I
don't know,
mean,
you
look,
don't know Carmen Mills
I
is a
made
real.
jokes at you. I made jokes at you, but that's love. But look, between me and you always been in a relationship, bro. Every
When
time.
I that's what I'm saying on a cultural level. Like I'm not saying
On a
five
cultural
people
level, like
go
a
for it.
random, oh, he tied down, oh, he married and shit. Bro,
Exactly.
like, yeah. Bro,
People
that'll come
have
from
problems.
random people. That'll come from random people, right? I remember, I'm always curious about marriages and why they end, right? I
Mm.
remember, for instance, so dog got fucking stories for days. So anyway, I remember there was a woman that's 38, right? She's 38 and she made the statement, she's attracted to younger men, but she was married before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, why didn't it work out? Right? You know, people want to learn. I'm a person that's interested in marriage. I want to learn. I want to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So during the conversation, there's other people that's chiming in at the same time. She was like, well, long story short, he cheated, and then she was like, well, the second part is he was to support of a career. And I was like, well, what was the career? And she was like, well, you know, this will be a travel nurse. I was like, well, did he know about it? He was like, well, no, I didn't tell him till after the marriage. I was like, that's a disingenuous move. I was like, but nobody talks about the actions that rewire the emotions and the brain at the same time. If I made a commitment to you, like, hey, look, to marriage, like, bro, I map things out. One thing I'm very direct. I map things out for anybody who gets involved with. And you saying, hey, I want to be a child nurse at the end of the day. I'm like, yo, bro, that was a disingenuous move. You didn't make me know up front. I don't know if I would have committed with you on the same basis. So, of course, I'm trying to work things out with you at the same time because I already gave you my last name. But as we're talking about stuff like that, I was like, oh, nobody talks about disingenuous moves that will make somebody not even look at you the same way while you're in that marriage or in that relationship. A person, if you ever did disingenuous move, I'm telling you, I ain't never looked at you the same. Because I always kept everything up front and tight. I was like, bro, but did the man put everything in front of you? She was like, yes. But I didn't feel the need to tell him until after the marriage. I was like, what the fuck? So what about those situations at the same time? Like I said, people get clowned for getting relationships and getting bamboozled. We don't talk about those situations.
Yeah. I was just simply say, hey, that's just a failed situation. You move
Yeah,
on.
like just
You
move
move on
forward.
from it. You learn from it. You rebuild. But you don't just like stay in that space and never fucking try to rebuild again. Like I don't believe in that.
So in other words, even after failed marriage, you should still try to look for marriage,
I believe
right?
so. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I mean, shit, Kevin Samuels not wrong, man. Hey, look at him there.
You step off and try
That's my
again.
boy, man. That's my
That's the
boy,
step off
man.
and
That's my
try
boy,
again.
man. That's my boy. Shoot, same thing with Steve Harvey. Or so in other words, it's okay that if we fail, we should still keep forward in trying to achieve the family aspects and dynamics of life.
Yeah, but first learn from it. Like that's the key point. Learn from it, grow, continue to move forward. If you never move forward in that aspect of life, like I said, a lot of people cannot move forward on that aspect and still be successful. But for majority of people, they don't work like that. So I still think that's key. But if we want to talk about our culture and our race and all our problems, that's the biggest problem is family. Even though it may be the biggest challenge, just because it's a challenge, it don't mean that it's now impossible. Like if we're gonna talk about one thing about being a man is we was always taught shit like can't ain't in my vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? So if can't ain't in your vocabulary, you can't then become a man and say I can't produce a family, or I can't keep a woman, or I can't get married because something that happened in the past or whatever. Eventually, you got to get over that. You got to move past that.
I was married minded at a young age, bro. I told you. My thing was this. I said, bro, if I married by 27, 28, fuck this shit. And like I said, that's at a young age. But like even now, like I get more excited to the future because I keep just becoming a better man. Like do it, you know what I'm saying? It's more so like for instance, you said, okay, if you're really on your purpose, why aren't you in a relationship with an individual? My motto is simple. Like, look, I just don't any woman who gets involved in me, like, look, I just don't need you to slow me down. Understand my time. I let people know my purpose and my time is everything. When I give it to you, like take it, run with it, hold it. Because everything I ever mapped out, look, there's boards, right? You've been to my goddamn place. There's dry erase boards with everything mapped the fuck out for anybody to see who gets involved with. So it's not like, hey, I'm bamboozling you. No, you know the motherfucking game. You know my end goals. You know where I'm going. It's just, do you want to be along for the ride?
Right.
So
And my,
when you,
my,
like I said, when you put things mapped out in front of people, when you're really on your purpose, like, hey, look, ain't no bullshit. This is what's going on.
and my last close off would be like when we go back
Sure.
historically and we be like, man, how did we lose our kingdoms? They infiltrated our families. They tore
Exactly.
down the family structure. Well, how did we fall off and we ain't never had what we had since the 20s and the 60s and the 70s? We lost our family structure. So it's like even the people that we want to talk about, people could tell you everything about this quote unquote Illuminati, but they overlook the biggest aspect is family.
Right. They're
People
all
manage
families that are tied to
power
it.
with power, and that's how they control the world is through family. You don't have a bunch of people controlling the world as bachelors and unmarried women. That's not how people control the world. They control it through family. So if we not where we supposed to be at as a people, the first thing we got to look back at is family. And if we grew up from single parent households and we still got problems from that shit, and we 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, and we still not fixing that problem, what is that saying? That's saying we'll never move forward. Making money as an individual only takes you so far. It don't solve the problem of the collective. You may save a couple people with that shit, you know what I mean? But that's not going to do what it could do. That's why they move in family, because they making sure everything flows. Queen Elizabeth died. They call that a royal family. They keep everything is about bloodline, family, and structure.
Blue
So
blood.
like yeah, that's why I said I, I'm tired of listening to black man tell me everything about history, the world, society, and cult knowledge and esoteric knowledge. And they're like, all right, bet. So you got a family? Nah, I'm single. I was like, you clearly we're not learning something. So that's all I got, man.
Hold up. So now I'm gonna challenge that.
Go ahead.
So, an episode or day ago, you said, "Hey, look, maybe it wasn't that man's purpose, that man and woman's purpose to be together, but they can procreate. So, why is that a problem with a man being single?"
Okay, cool. You procreated with that woman. Maybe that wasn't the woman. What about another woman? Like eventually you can produce a family somewhere. That's all I'm saying. And let's just say it's not for you to produce a family at all. Let's stay there. Let's stay there.
Come with it,
But
man. Come
but
with
what
it.
I'm saying is when the majority is moving like that, now we got a problem with the culture because everybody can't fit into that narrative. Well, hey, that's not for me. Now it's a problem with the culture. That's all I'm saying. Majority of people can't share the same pain and the same standards and the same everything. That means something wrong with the culture. So yeah. So yeah, I mean we close off, man. We ain't gotta drag it out.
Yeah, no, I ain't trying to drag that out. I'm just trying to make sure, like, you stand on what you said. I'm like, well, you just said a couple episodes about the procreate and not meant to be together. So, they, shit, you same situation with Nick Cannon. He procreated all of them, not with none of them.
Okay.
All
I mean, but like I'm
right, man. Hey,
saying,
listen, man. Hey,
everybody's
someone,
name ain't Nick Cannon, but there's only one Nick Cannon. Everybody's name ain't Nick Cannon.
hey, Juice Cannon,
Yeah.
man.
Nick Cannon? Deuce and Susan not the family. Yeah, that's right. We
Oh man, let me stop, man. Hold on, you got a question. What if you're just producing the children, not the family?
not the family, right?
Well, I just basically said that.
Right.
You
Right.
say, man, we're gonna challenge you, man. You gonna challenge man, you X, man. We gotta challenge you, X. Oh man, but no, I do feel like family is a beautiful thing. I mean, some of the history books I was reading, they even said like men, women. I forgot how they basically said it. Like men and women who like despise having family, they weren't looked at the same way as people who desired it. Like I forgot. Man, there's so many goddamn history books I've read. Like it's amazing going back to the hunter gatherers time to now, even
Mm-hmm.
on the basis to shoot to even man. Look, that's a whole different story. But I'm saying like there was there was power in family. Like y'all understand, family was always powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The marriage ties made it more empowering. That was just like the king of the crop, the cherry on top, the kingdom of the solidified. Like I always say, look, an empire, I mean, I must say, a kingdom is built with family, an empire is built with alliance. So when families would get together, everybody had a special thing that family brought. The Smiths were Smiths. The Carpenters, they were Carpenters. Like people went by their trades name where people can identify them. So when the time they came to a collective at that round table, we know who can borrow from, who we can do business for, anything go left, anything go right. That's why I believe that's why the Amish community is one of the most powerful communities. When they build one house, they all get together and build that fucking house. I'm like, holy shit. I was like, they gotta hire nobody. They just like, oh, everybody's. What is the percentage of them being single is amazing. I forgot the percentage of what they said. The Amish individuals are actually single within that community. Everybody's paired up. That's what. If black people can get on some Amish shit, we'll be good. Hey, we get on some Amish shit, we'll be good. We'll be good. What they do, they operate outside the communities, operate out of people's jurisdictions. Hey, the land, we'll take care of our own people. But that means a lot of y'all ain't gonna be corporate no more, man. It'll be a lot of blue collar shit to make sure the things run. All right, man. That's all I got. That's all I got. Black people need to be more Amish. You know, that's been a goddamn episode. That is a goddamn episode. I'm about to do my research on the Amish community tonight. That's what's gonna be my homework. Black people should be more Amish. We about to get to that shit.
All right, but yeah, most definitely. And you, what I'm saying is not foreign. Like I say, I don't have a son, but if I do have a son, hey, I'm taking that dude to the mosque because that's all they talk about at the mosque. Like that's one part of the black community that's really locked in on like family, men being men, women being women. You know what I mean?
Big time.
Have you tap in? So appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
I got shots right now. I got shots.
Go ahead.
So do you feel like we should get do you feel like the access to freedom is the reason why families are not being built?
Access to freedom, what you mean?
Freedom to do whatever you want. When there was more structure in place, people more so do as they're told, right? We just said the mosque, men become men and women are women. We done seen the results throughout history. It's proven that shit works. Brother Ben X, I got a few people who was actually there. They're all married. I didn't even know that. I was like, damn. So,
right. You can blame it on freedom, so to speak, but think about it. Where people quote the Bible, right? And the biggest thing they quote is the family, the structure of society. They say God first, the man, the woman, then the children.
okay.
They're getting that from a religious text that majority of all of us follow. So freedom ain't really the issue. It's like you got structure, you just choosing not to follow it. Or you following it how you want to. So I guess you can argue freedom at that point because it's like we not getting ridiculed anymore for not producing a family. Like back Kevin Samuels always said, like back in the gap, if a woman had children and didn't have a husband, you couldn't go to church. Like the church didn't accept that. So it was structure set in place. You couldn't dress a certain way in church. You couldn't do like, you know what I mean? So what I was saying is, let's say I practice that belief. Well, the structure isn't the same no more in that one. So I'm saying I'll go outside of that, go into a more structured society. So it's not really like, I can't blame it on freedom necessarily because you always got freedom is up. Look, your car can go over the speed limit. That don't mean go out there and speed, get into a wreck and get a speeding ticket. You got the freedom to choose. Like, I can't blame it on freedom no more. I just got to blame the people. Because you have structure, you have options that can be more productive, but you're just choosing wrong. So if freedom is the problem, what we're saying is we need to be like in a communist situation or a situation where we can't do everything we do got to be structured. Somebody got to tell us when to go to sleep, when to go to work, when to marry. We got to go back to them days where people ordain your marriages and shit like that. So I'm not going to blame freedom. I'm going to blame you. That's just
comment is kind of right there, bro. That's kind of extreme shit.
What we're saying is we ain't competent enough to make the best decision, so we need somebody to put us on the schedule. Nah, it's your fault, fam. That's what I'm rocking with.
Oh, it's your fault.
It's your fault. Yeah, you the problem. You the problem. Look in the mirror, motherfucker.
Hey, get
I
off my
care about
goddamn
you.
show, man. I don't want y'all to be around, man. I'm trying to eat some food, man.
All right, man. But yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Last close out as a man. Make sure all your planets in orbit. Some of y'all planets is in retrograde. You need to fix that shit. Make sure your shit is in orbit. Make sure everything is properly aligned around you. That's what's gonna take you to that next level. Feel
Mm.
me? So appreciate y'all for tapping in. Up top, we got no ordinary brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Follow us individually. We got that YouTube link in both of our bios. Subscribe to the channel.
Uh,
Thank y'all for watching.
so, like, did you learn that esoteric man from a single man or a family man right there?
What? I learned the esoteric, man.